Welcome to the Walking Dread podcast. I'm Adrian, and tonight, we've got a chilling tale that'll have you sleeping with the lights on.
I'm Julia, and get ready for some spooky fun. Don't look. It's a story all about a cursed mirror that takes your deepest fears and turns them into, well, a terrifying reality.
You know those classic summer camp stories, right? The crackling campfire, the spooky legends, a group of teenagers daring each other to explore the abandoned cabin in the woods.
Don't look starts with all those familiar elements, tapping into that universal fear of the unknown we all experience. But this story does something really clever with those classic tropes.
Yeah, it takes that thrill of testing boundaries and cranks it up a notch.
Exactly. At the heart of this story is a tarnished, creepy mirror in that abandoned cabin. Legend has it that a camper vanished there years ago, and anyone who gazes into the mirror comes face to face with their worst nightmares. And our main character, Jess, is about to find out just how true that legend is.
Okay, but Jess doesn't even believe in ghost stories. So what draws her to the mirror in the first place?
That's the fascinating thing about legends. Even if we don't believe them, they still hold a certain power over us. Jess is drawn into the mystery, maybe even a bit cocky about it at first.
I can see that happening. Almost like she's daring the legend to prove itself.
Precisely. And so she looks into the mirror and boom! Her deepest fear, war, and destruction flashes before her eyes. But this is where Don't Look takes a truly terrifying turn.
It's not just a vision she sees, is it?
You're right, it's much more than that. The story cleverly connects the mirror to each character's personal fears. For example, Ben, her friend, sees himself fading away, reflecting his own deep-seated fear of disappearing or being forgotten.
That's such a relatable fear, especially for teenagers who are trying to find their place in the world.
Exactly. And what happens to Ben after he sees his fear? Well, he vanishes. Poof.
Yeah.
Gone. Like they never even existed.
Okay, now we've officially crossed over from spooky to straight-up terrifying. This isn't just about seeing your fears, it's about them becoming real.
Right. The mirror acts as a gateway, pulling each character into a nightmare that reflects their deepest anxieties. It's like the mirror is feeding on their terror.
And it's not just Ben. Each camper who looks into the mirror sees their worst fears reflected back at them, and then one by one they disappear.
Leaving Jess all alone.
The sole survivor. Which is ironic because being the last one left was her biggest fear all along.
Exactly. The mirror, in a horrifying way, grants her that wish. What's truly chilling about Don't Look is how it takes a classic horror trope, the cursed object, and twists it in such a psychologically unsettling way.
Yeah, let's dive into that a bit more.
The mirror isn't just some random evil artifact.
Right.
It's a reflection of the character's inner turmoil, their deepest, most hidden fears. It acts as a catalyst, magnifying those anxieties and bringing them to life.
So it's not the mirror itself that's evil, but what it reveals about us.
Exactly. It's almost like a psychological thriller disguised as a ghost story. It makes you think about how our fears, if we let them, can actually shape our reality.
And the story doesn't shy away from exploring different types of fear, does it?
Not at all. Remember how the story starts, with the counselor telling the classic campfire tale of the forgotten camper?
Oh yeah, that definitely sets the stage for the whole story.
But it does more than just set the stage. It introduces the idea that stories themselves can have a powerful hold on us, and how easily those stories, those narratives can morph into our own personal nightmares.
So the story's almost like a warning then. Like, don't let your fears control you, or they might just become your reality.
It definitely has that element to it, and it's not just about individual fears either. The story also touches on the fear of being forgotten, of fading away, of becoming irrelevant, which is what makes Ben's disappearance so unsettling.
Yeah, his fear is so universal, especially for young people who are trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in the world.
Absolutely. And the fact that he vanishes without a trace just adds to that sense of unease. It's like he never existed at all, which is terrifying on a whole other level.
It makes you think about the legacy we leave behind, the impact we have on others.
And what happens when those memories start to fade?
And even the forgotten camper from the legend is a victim of that kind of fear, isn't he?
Exactly. He's trapped in the mirror, forgotten by everyone except for the legend itself. In a way, all the characters who disappear into the mirror become forgotten campers themselves. They're trapped in their own personal hells. Their stories unfinished, their lives cut short.
And the only one left to remember them is Jess. She's left with the knowledge of what happened, the guilt of being the sole survivor.
And that brings us to a crucial point. What does this all mean? What is the story trying to tell us?
Well, for me, it highlights the power of stories, how they can shape our perceptions, our beliefs, even our fears.
Yes, and how those fears, if we're not careful, can manifest in unexpected and terrifying ways.
But it also suggests that we have a choice.
Yeah.
We can choose to face our fears or let them consume us. Like Jess, she now has to find a way to live with what she's seen and experienced.
But maybe, just maybe, that knowledge can also be a source of strength. A reminder to live a life that's worth remembering, to make your mark on the world so you don't become another forgotten soul trapped in the mirror.
So it's not all doom and gloom. There's a glimmer of hope in there.
I think so. Even in the darkest of stories, there's always a glimmer of hope, a chance to learn, to grow, to overcome.
That's a powerful message for a horror story for sure.
It reminds us that even in the face of fear, we have the power to choose our own path. And that's a pretty empowering thought, wouldn't you say?
You know, one thing that really stuck with me is how the story plays with our sense of reality.
Yeah, like what's really happening with this mirror? Is it supernatural or is it all in their heads? That ambiguity is what makes Don't Look so effective.
It's unsettling because it could be either, right, a supernatural force or a manifestation of their own anxieties and guilt.
Exactly. The story never explicitly explains the origin or the mechanics of the mirror's power. And by leaving that open to interpretation, it forces us to confront our own beliefs about the unknown. It taps into that primal fear of the things we can't explain.
It's like the story is saying, hey, what if your worst fears are real? What if they're just waiting for the right moment to come true?
And that's a terrifying thought. But it's also a thought that can push us to examine our own fears to try to understand them better, because sometimes the act of confronting our fears, of bringing them into the light, can diminish their power over us.
I like that. So it's not just about being scared. It's about facing those fears and maybe even learning from them.
Right. Remember that detail about the broken music box in the cabin? The one that's still playing that haunting tune?
Yeah, it was such a small detail, but it added to the overall sense of unease.
It makes you wonder, what else is broken in this place? What secrets are hidden just beneath the surface? It's like the music box is a symbol of the brokenness of the characters themselves, their shattered sense of security.
And it foreshadows the events to come. The music stops, the characters disappear, and the silence becomes even more deafening.
The story is full of these subtle layers, these symbolic details that add depth and meaning. And that's the beauty of good horror. It's not just about jump scares and gore. It's about exploring the dark side of human nature, the things that keep us up at night.
And maybe, just maybe, helping us find a way to confront those fears and come out stronger on the other side.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So before we wrap up, any final thoughts on Don't Look?
Oh, I think it's a reminder that we should be careful what we wish for. Because sometimes our fears, if we dwell on them too much, have a way of becoming our reality.
Well said. And remember, keep those flashlights handy and check those mirrors carefully. You never know what might be lurking on the other side.
That's it for tonight's episode of the Walking Dread podcast. Don't forget to rate and follow us for more spine-tingling tales. We'll be back tomorrow with another story that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Until then, sleep tight, if you can.